Hello, how are you? So today I wanted to show a little demonstration of how we truly are identical. So these two right here are what I call my energy or my light bulbs, my balls of light. Picture yourself to be one of this, all right? So here's you, and this one right here is whoever you want. Pick the person that maybe triggers you the most, whoever that might be. For a lot of us, as the President of the United States. It could be your ex-husband, it could be your wife, your neighbor, your boss, your ex-boss, your worst enemy, whoever. Just pick one person. If you look at them, you and the other person are exactly the same. You have the same qualities. We have the same ways of being. We have everything. We both have the same power. We both have the same beautiful qualities. Honesty, respectful, loyal, understanding, tolerant, every single one of them. Smart. Anything good that you can think of, they're in both of us. On the two of them. But there's also the negative programs. All those negative behaviors that got acquired, that got recorded in our mind. How did they get recorded? The first trimester of a child's life, the last trimester of pregnancy of every child's life, we acquire negative perceptions, negative beliefs, negative programs. Because whatever happens during the pregnancy, for example, if our mothers are exposed to some sort of fear, or their state of mind is in anxiety, or they're depressed, we inherit that. The next 7 years of our life, from the moment we're born till 7 years old, anything that happens, we're like little sponges. And everything we see, we create as a fact. It's a reality, it's a belief that stays in our mind. How do we know? How can we tell if we have negative programs? By looking at the person in front of us. Simple. Because we're always mirrored. We're always mirrored. We want to look away because some people call it ego. I call it fear. Because when our fear goes in, our positive programs get covered up. And we become this dark energy that goes from very bright to dark. So once we're in love, we show up in this beautiful space, in this beautiful, with all those beautiful qualities, the beautiful behavior. So somebody that's in love, somebody that just met somebody, for example, you meet a stranger on the street. You know nothing about this stranger. And you talk with this stranger, and you interact with this stranger, and you have no negative perceptions about this stranger. It's a total stranger. And you're both in this energy of love, and you're both very shiny. But the minute one of the two gets triggered by, it could be a comment, it could be an action, it could be anything, the light goes away. And we become this fearful energy beings that we haven't changed, but our energy got damaged. By the energy, by the fear, the moment we get triggered, we go into this darkness. And we're so unaware. And we go into this victimhood. And I call it victimhood because it's a way of living. That the minute we get triggered, we start looking at the other person. No, you do this. You did that. You're like this and you're like that. What we're always seeing is our reflection. Because if you look at these two, they're exactly the same. One is lit up and the other one is not. Now, I want to show a story of something that happened that will possibly allow you to identify yourself. Okay? So, about 4 weeks ago, I was home. I was sick. I didn't feel well. And usually I can do a process using this Psych-8, using the process of Psych-8. I can do a balance, or I can do a process, and my whatever it is disappears. So that day I had I was having a headache. I wasn't feeling well. I was in a weird mood. And so I was supposed to do a favor for a friend. So he calls me in the morning to make sure that I'm still doing the favor for him the next day. And I told him I wasn't feeling good. Now in that moment, I was thinking, what crossed my mind in that moment, my judgment was, well, you call me to ask for your favor, but yet the minute that you find out that I'm sick, you can ask if you can do something for me. You cannot show a little bit of interest or compassion maybe for whatever's happening to my, to myself. And so, well, anyway, put the phone down, and I didn't say anything to him because, I look at myself and I analyze myself, and because the behavior of the person is behaving in a way, so the behavior of the person is showing me my behavior. So I started thinking, what is this person showing me? And I brought it to myself, considering that he is a loved one. And the first thing that came to mind was ungrateful. He was ungrateful. He was being ungrateful. He wasn't valuing my friendship. He didn't have interest in what was happening in my life at that moment. So anyway, I when I do a process, and I transform the perception, I bring it to myself, I transform the perception, in 10 minutes, the negative emotions can disappear. The negative, feelings and the negative energy that I'm in the moment with this person will disappear. So a couple weeks later, coincidentally, he was having a situation and he wasn't feeling well. And I had gotten triggered by something, and I reacted, because when we get triggered, we react, and he didn't like it. And his comment to me was, wow, I just told you that I've had the worst day. I just told you that I'm in pain. I just told you that I had the worst day, and you're not showing any compassion, and you're not showing any empathy, and you. In that moment, it brought me back to 2 weeks before, when we had the interaction, and I had become the victim, and I was just thinking while I was sitting at home, what is this person showing me? And the minute that he started telling me, no, because you, I'm like, oh my God, I must not be empathetic, tolerant, and compassionate with my loved ones, or when people are hurting, because that's what he was representing in that moment, somebody that was hurting my loved ones. And so I checked with my mind, I used Psych-8, I did a process, and sure enough, so I created the program, and now my behavior changes. Now next time I'm encountered with a situation like that, my behavior will change. So that trigger disappears in that moment, but also my behavior will change in the future, because I reprogram my mind for the positive behavior that I want. And that's how we start disconnecting from people, because the minute we're triggered, we point fingers, we blame, we shame, we make others responsible. But when we're able to bring it to us, so what is this person showing me about me? The person is behaving in a way. Yes, they behave in a way, but we're the ones that have the programs the same way. Because if I think about it, and if I bring it to me, have I been throughout my life 100% someone that's grateful to my parents, somebody that value my parents, or maybe someone that show empathy to my loved ones, or that I was compassionate and understanding with people that were hurting. And I could think of many times when I wasn't. Because the minute we are not thinking and we're just acting based on our programs, because when we're not thinking, we're in autopilot, and those programs just happen to act. And we behave in ways, for example, when we experience dishonesty in somebody, it's because the program in dishonesty is in ourselves. We learned the program of dishonesty when we were children. We learned the program of, or we acquired the program of disrespect when we were children. So the minute we get triggered, or the minute we go into fear, we're disrespectful, we're dishonest, but when we see it in others, we're unable to recognize it in ourselves. And that's exactly how two people are nothing but mirrors. We're nothing but mirrors. We're constantly mirroring each other. We're projecting our beliefs in the person in front of us. And the person in front of us is projecting the same. So what this person, my friend, could see in me 2 weeks ago, I could see in him 2 weeks before. At that moment he did it, he acted, I wasn't recognizing everything. I recognized, for example, the him being ungrateful or not valuing my friendship. But the minute he said it, you're not tolerant, you're not showing empathy, you're not understanding when I'm hurting, as I'm being vulnerable, I recognize myself. It is so easy to fall into our victimhood. But it's also very, very, very easy to install a program in our mind the same way. Because after that incident, I created a program in my mind. I see myself in every person. I easily recognize myself and my behavior in every person. So a week ago, I was at the orthodontist with my son. And I go and I put a mask, a cover over my mouth. I didn't have a mask. And the lady's telling me that I have to wear a mask. And I said, why a mask? It says face covering. And she goes, well, because in this place, in order to be serviced, you have to have a mask. And so my son is next to me and he's like just uncomfortable. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, what? And he says, why can't you just like follow the rules? And I'm like, whatever. So I put on a mask. And then the next day, we had a situation at home where we had with my kids, we made agreements, and we have everybody collaborating, and my son is responsible to take care of his dog. So as I walk out with the dog, I put on the leash and I told him, just hurry up, I'm gonna have him here while you get ready. Well, he ignored me and he came out after I went inside and I was already upset. He comes out and I went inside, and when he came back in the house, I asked him, do you know what I just saw? Do you know when I got upset? He goes, no, because I saw myself. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I always tell you we're mirrors, correct? He goes, yeah. The mirror has two sides, correct? Yeah. And I said, I just saw myself in you, in your behavior. And he said, what do you mean? I go, do you like rules? And he goes, sometimes. I said, we had agreements and we created rules for the house. Do you like rules? And he goes, no. I said, shake my hand. And he goes, what? I don't like rules either. So yesterday, when you were all upset and getting all, flustered about this interaction between the lady and I, it's because somebody's treating me like a child and they're imposing rules, but yet at the same time I understand that I'm in somebody's property and I gotta follow the rules. So he made me aware in that moment of the rules, and I said, now I'm making you aware of the rules in the house and how we are always mirroring. And that's what I get triggered, because when I see myself in somebody, I get triggered. I don't like it. We are always, always, always mirrors of each other. So if you would like to experience what it's like to be able to remove a trigger, to have deeper connections, to heal relationships, and to transform anything in your life, and to be able to stay in the energy of love instead of going into fear, send me a message, because life is supposed to be happy, and we are capable of staying in love with anything and anyone in our life, because we're only the same, always and only the same. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.